Hi, how you doing? It's Jeff Sinker from Skype Lessons online.com. Great to see you all again. This video we're going to be looking at something different. I'm not doing a music lesson. I'm actually doing a practical lesson, and what I'll be showing you is how to change the strings on an acoustic guitar. Now, many of you probably think, I don't need to know that one, but there is a number of people out there who are probably new to the guitar, broke a string, and don't know how to replace the string, or the strings are looking very worn. They've had it for a few months now, getting a bit rusty, and again they don't know how to change the strings. Obvious option for them is to take it to a store and get them to restring it, but that doesn't always work if you're actually out there with a group of friends, or even in fact if you've never done this before and you're playing a small little gig and you break a string. You can't run to the store immediately and get it changed. So I thought it would be a great idea just to run through how to change the strings on a guitar. So for those of you who already know how to do this, apologise, go and watch one of my other guitar lessons. But for anybody who has never seen this done and has just always handed that guitar into the guitar store and then appeared later with money in the hand to pick it up, this is a must for you. So first thing, what we've got to do is look at the equipment that you will need for doing this. And obviously the first bit of equipment, apart from your guitar, is a set of guitar strings. Now, I use Ernie Ball all the time. Not endorsed by them, I just love their strings, always have done. And the brand I always like for my acoustic guitars is the Earthwood series. And this set is extra light. I do always like a light action on this. So this is the brand I've got. You can see that there. Also, what you will need, as well as the strings, is this little tool here. String winder. It always reminds me of the days watching football, a little rattle. You can buy these just for a few dollars. The one you're looking for, it must have a little groove, you can see that, at the end. And this is the tool, as well as being a string winder, it's also the tool for removing these pegs here. So, string winder, and also it's a peg remover. So that is the one that you need. Also, you will need set of cutters. Now I've got some really big ones here. They're not the most sharpest in the world, but that's what I use for cutting the guitar strings. And a tuner. Now I always use my 11 rack. Over here there's got an inbuilt tuner, so I use that. But not everybody's got a processor, so you will need a guitar tuner. You can also use the apps. There's a number of great apps on the iPhones, Androiders, that you can use. So you can use that, and of course the good old tuning fork, if that's all you've actually got. But some form of a tuner you will require as well. Now, if you are changing all of the strings, I would also recommend that you use this opportunity to recondition the fretboard, because if all the strings have been removed, why not? And depending on the fretboard that you've got, try and get hold of some fretboard conditioner. And of course, this will probably mean a visit to the music store to pick up some of this equipment. But once you've got it, it lasts a lot longer than having to keep going in and paying for a restring. And of course, finally, yes, I haven't got a cold. These are just cleaning rags, absorbent cleaning rags that are lint free, so that when I clean off the fretboard, I don't leave any little bits of fluff onto the fretboard. So, they are the items that you require. Now, this guitar here, I'm just going to be restringing it. It's been some time and the strings are showing a little bit of wear, so I'll be doing the entire strings on this. But I'm just going to talk you through, for the purpose of this video, sounds good, doesn't it, how to do an individual string, but I'll just work through all the rest and talk about cleaning as well. But don't worry, this isn't going to be a 15-20 minute video of watching me just unwind the strings and rewind them. I'm just going to look at the specific details required. So we're going to target first of all this low E string. So I am going to use my string winder, and I'm going to slacken this off. Because again, you might be doing this to you might not have a broken string, but you want to change all the strings. So obviously this is a little slow process, but we are going to take the string off completely. So, string has been removed. I don't have to worry about the rest of the strings at this moment. What we're now going to be looking at is how we use this tuner, this winder, to remove the peg. So I've got that little groove, and what I'm going to be doing is I fit the peg, or should I say I fit the peg removing tool. I just push it underneath, and then I can just lift and lever it off. So let's just go through it again. We've got that little groove there that we can see in the string winder. I'm just going to push it underneath the peg. So the top part of the peg is sitting inside the housing, and the plastic underneath can now be used as a lever just to pull back, and you'll see the peg come out very easily. Again, just push it underneath, lever, and the peg comes out. Very, very simple process. Now, when you're doing this, I've had people come to a music store, I've lost the peg. When you take it out, make sure you put it somewhere safe that it can't roll off and disappear. Like the picks, these disappear to the same third dimensional world that your guitar picks disappear to when you drop them. So make sure that you put it somewhere that you can't lose it. And then we just pull out the string, and many a time I've done this where I put my hand in a bag full of rubbish and I end up getting a little bit of a spike through the string sticking in front, pushing into me. So just wind them up a little bit, and then you can put them into the garbage. So we've got the string off, so now it's clear. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove all the other strings, and then we're going to just look at conditioning the fretboard, and then we'll how to actually install the string. So, bear with me, let me strip it down, and then I'll get back to you. Right, I have removed all of the strings from the guitar, so let's just look at just conditioning the fretboard. So I'm going to get my very classy cloth, and fretboard conditioner. It's like something from Blue Peter, I can remember them days. And I'm just going to put a few little bits on there, not too much. Don't want to smother it. Now, if you have the time, you could do this overnight. Just soak the fretboard, not where it's actually pouring off, but enough. I always say when you first, if you haven't done this for a while, it's always good to just put enough oil on there that it absorbs it, and then redo it. So you could do this over a number of hours through the evening time, because if that fretboard hasn't been oiled for some time, then you will find that it really kind of asks for more and more. It gets thirsty. You can already see there's quite a bit of gunge coming off as I'm doing that. Now, I did this quite recently. So the fretboard isn't that bad, but it's always good just to give it a little bit. Just put that down there. Now, I'll just give it a good old scrub between them frets, just to clear all that horrible gunge that builds up. Yeah. So what I'm going to do now, I'm also going to take the opportunity of wiping around these parts that you can't normally get to when all the strings are in place. So just round the headstock, just give that a dust as well. And also around here underneath the bridge, that's another area, of course. Now you can get some kind of polish, wood polish for doing this, but if it's you can use pledge on this, it's wood though, but you can get normal guitar polish, which does a very good job on this. But now is the opportunity to take that time to do that, while all the strings are off, is just give it a good old cleaning, which is what I'm going to do now. Now for the fun stuff. I got my set of strings, so let me attack the pack and get the strings out. The thing I like about Ernie Ball, they actually individually wrap each of the strings. Get some string companies that actually just put them all together and you've got to fight to take them apart, which I'm never a big fan of, fiddly fingers. So I've got the individual packs, advertising that. So we're going to do the thickest E string first, and these are numbered. Now it's not rocket science that the numbers start from, in this case they start from 50 and work down to 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a 10. I thought there was something missing there. So the thickest string is 50. So that's the one we're going to take. So take it out, and again, more rubbish to be picked up later. Undo the string, and we have got two ends. You've never seen these before. You've got the brass eye at the end here, and that's the part that goes into where we remove the pin from. So what we're going to do, we are going to insert the string into that hole. Okay. Now some of them go down a certain depth, other ones just go and just keep pushing through like this one does. What you really want to do is when this pin is in place, you'll see there's a groove. Now, I'm probably not going to see this too well, but I'll try and zoom in the picture afterwards when I edit this. But there is a groove in the pin. Now we're going to make sure that the string runs down through that groove. So the pin and the round eye, the brass bead, has got to be kind of in that position. And then when there's tension put on, the brass bead will stop at the pin. So we just insert the string into the hole, and then we've got the pin, and we've got to make sure that that guide rail, that groove, is sitting, so the string is sitting in it. And then we just push down. Now, we don't have to put so much force down that we start breaking the guitar. We're just going to put enough in there until it sits in place. Now we can pull on that string, and you'll hear the string pull up until the resistance is where the brass eye pulls against the actual pin. Now, I'm going to then take the string and I'm going to feed it through the eye in the nearest tuning peg to there, because it will go from the E string, the A string, to the D string, to the G string, to the B string, to the E string. It doesn't only acoustic guitars, other electric guitars are kind of different shades, but this is E, A, D, G, B, E. So it kind of works clockwise round. So I've pushed that through, and what I'm going to do, I tend to use, I put my finger around about 15th fret. You see I've got my straight finger there. Now of course this will vary through your hand, but what I do, I use that as a gauge because I want to make sure that I've got enough windings round on the guitar. Again, this isn't rocket science, you don't have to be fully accurate on this, you know, you're not kind of taking it as if you're too high or too low, but it's best to slightly err a little bit on the fact that if it's a little bit higher, that's fine. A little bit less, you might not get enough windings that you're looking for. But I normally find that the length of my fingers push down like that, holding this in a sense in my first finger. So when it's reversed, I've got the first finger just supporting the string. Then what I do, I push the string at this end. I will push it. Now we're going to wind it so the winder goes this way. It's going to go anti-clockwise. So with the end of the string, I push it, I put a kink in the string, so I'm pushing it clockwise. That gives me a resistance when I start winding. So do remember that little twist there, which is clockwise, because we are going to be winding anti-clockwise. Then I take the string winder and I start to wind. Now I feed and guide it. I just hold it with my first finger to make sure it runs under the string that's coming out. And the strings tend to find their own way. They'll locate themselves. But now, if that happens, as I've turned it, the peg has come back out. I just push it back in. Now this time, did you hear it snap in place? That means it's locked in there now. Now sometimes they do come out, but you just push them back in and it will lock. As I'm turning it, you can hear it kind of stretching. What's happening is the string is getting itself seated in position. Now I'm going to not turn it too tight. I'm going to go for the tuning just at this point. But I've got it so there's enough flexibility on that. Now again, I don't tend to cut these off straight away, but for the purpose of this video, I'm going to cut this string now. I always like to leave it just at the end and then do it all as one function. But if you're just changing one string, then that's what you do now. So I'm going to take my set of pliers and I leave about 1 centimetre and then I will cut. So I've got 1 centimetre coming out, and I say they're not the sharpest, so in these I just have to do a little bit of a tweaking with the wire and then it will come apart. And then with a little bit that's sticking up so I don't kind of catch myself in future, I just bend it round and push it down. So I've just bent it and pushed it out of the way. That way if I put my hand near the headstock, I don't then start catching myself and spiking myself with the string. So that's the string being replaced. Obviously now I'm going to do all the further 5 strings on here if it's just one. That will be job done at that point as far as restringing it. What you've got to do now is you've got to tune it in. Anyway, I am now going to replace all of the strings and then I'll get back to you about the final tuning. Restrung everything, cut it, tidied it all up. Now we've got to go through the tuning process. I've got my tuner engaged. I'm using my 11 rack, so I've got a visual indicator here, or you could be using your hand tuner, either one that's plugged in or just an audio one, or using your actual iPhones. So I'm going to start off on the E. Now when I'm showing mine, this is showing as a D flat, so I'm not that far out, but you know, some of you might have to turn a bit more or just slacken them off, but we're just going to keep tightening this until I get to my E. Now what might happen, again, these might start to adjust. You just got to push down them a little bit harder if they do. Now you might see, if you've ever seen a guitar tech tuning, restringing these guitars, what you'll see them now is just pulling on that string. Now what I'm doing, I'm just applying a little bit of force with my thumb just to stretch. I'm not doing too much because I know this will kind of tighten in for a time anyway. I've seen some techies, they just yank it. It puts the fear of God up me when I see them do that. But I'm just putting a little bit of tension on there. I go back, and again I can see now that tension there as I've bedded the string in has taken it right down again. So and there I'm back on the E. Now I could repeat that same thing. You saw that did that. Now that's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. That's telling me that that plug needed to be pushed more in. So a little bit firmer on that plug. Go back. Because these strings do have to bed themselves in. And I'm tune that back into the E. Now I can go through the whole of the strings, and again, I don't want to bore you with that. Just remember E, A, D, G, B, E. For my students, I use this little acronym. I've got the two E's, top and bottom, easy to remember. But what I then use is, because one of the countries I used to teach in, one of the places was Abu Dhabi, I use the A and the D. So Abu Dhabi, and I'm from the UK or Great Britain, and I use the G and the B. So I have the A for Abu, D for Dhabi, G for Great, B for Britain, and back to an E. So I tune in all the strings. Remember, put a little bit of a tug on it. If the peg does come back out, you just got to push it back in again until it sits itself, because these strings have got to bed themselves in. Play the guitar, strum through a few chords, check the tuning. It will take possibly a couple of days for them to fully sit back in, where you don't have to keep retuning the guitar. But once you've done that, be all nice and settled for you. Well, I hope you did find that useful. Possibly a few music stores won't be too happy, because now you won't be taking the guitar in and being charged around about $20, $25. I don't know what the going rate is at this stage now. But it will give you a bit more confidence that when you're out there, as long as you've got a set of strings with you, always make sure you have a spare set of strings. Guitar hack number 1. Been to some places with other guitarists, didn't have a spare set of strings, and they broke one. Not very professional. Always have a spare set. So if you've never bought a set of strings before, when you go out this time, buy 2 sets. They're not that expensive. And then you've always got a spare ready to go on your guitar. Well, I'm going to let you go, and look forward to seeing you all again soon. And in future, I'll probably get some more little guitar ideas, guitar hacks, as people are calling them nowadays, on things for the guitar. If you've got any questions as a beginner, or even an intermediate about things on the guitar, just drop me a line. I'll see if I can get an answer for you. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. Speak to you again soon. Until then, goodbye.